Hello and welcome back to the Data Privacy Lawyer. My name is Funmi Owolabi and I'm the principal attorney. Today's review, we're going to be looking at some AI terms. Let's take a look at this organization. I think it's very valuable for organizations to understand that personal data and data protection hinges upon many different business units. Let's talk a little bit about the AI program that an organization has. Although AI is used for many different business cases, everything about the business runs on personal data in some capacity. So at the firm, we help businesses optimize and build their privacy program. And in doing so, we are constantly reviewing the privacy considerations when utilizing artificial intelligence. And as we're about to review, we are going to see the implications that a provider in this instance places on the use of personal data and how it impinges upon the terms of their service. If they're going to be providing a customer a service, these are the terms you need to sign up for. Now, you as the customer need to decide, what does our own privacy program look like right now? Then you list out the checklist. We must have this. We must have transparency. We must have notice. It must be stored in the US, right? You're going to have your own criteria. When you are signing up for a service from a supplier, you need to look at what they're telling you we do. And then you as the business need to think about, am I okay with it? Now, the only way you're going to find out if you're okay with it is if you have your own privacy program. You cannot decide you're okay with terms of service if you haven't even created your own checklist for what's acceptable within your organization. Now, what's acceptable within your own organization is going to be dependent on what the law says. If you are processing personal data, you're headquartered in the United States, you process personal data in the United States, the terms of service for a supplier in China might be different to what is acceptable for you. So you need to decide that and do your own due diligence, because your privacy obligations don't change just because you're liaising with a supplier in a different geography. And their terms may not align with your checklist. So in order for you to even have that checklist, you need to have a program. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I want us to get into the privacy piece and how it influences these terms of services and what businesses should generally be thinking about when they're reviewing these and doing their due diligence. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit. Now, a couple things caught my eyes. The first thing is AI-based support. Alteryx products and services may include or may available at Alteryx's sole discretion an AI chatbot to answer basic questions raised by users. Again, we know these are individuals. So again, the description that I had mentioned before about the implication of privacy, we can already see just in sentence number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in sentence 9, we can see that we've already got individuals. With individuals comes privacy laws, because every user has some personal data. I have personal data. My name's Funmi. I'm the principal attorney at my firm. My firm is out of the District of Columbia. You already have 3 pieces of information about me, so you can identify me. I have rights because I'm an individual, and I'm a resident. I am a resident, and there are laws that are associated with the personal data I've just given you. So let's not dwell too much on that. I just saw a couple things. Let's talk about this sentence. Customers, again, when you're doing your due diligence, you are the customer, this is the provider. Customers and its end users, more individuals, should not enter personal data, sensitive data, or non-public company information into the AI chatbot, including those provided by Alteryx. Now, I don't know how this tool works. I am very intrigued about how the tool works. It seems like the input data should not be personal data. But irrespective of that, in order for the end users to log into this product, they are at least going to need to provide their name, a username, and a password at a minimum to log in. There may be additional personal data identifiers, but it appears as though, at least for the chatbot feature using artificial intelligence, customers should not be entering personal data, sensitive data, or non-public company information into the chatbot. Now, let's take a look at this. Information regarding inclusion of AI features. The Alteryx products and services may include AI features. Now, it appears, and without definitions, I'm going to scroll down quickly and check. Are the AI features that are referenced in sentence 5 the same thing as AI-based support? I would presume that the AI-based chatbot is just one of the AI features. So at least for the chatbot feature, we know that it doesn't ingest personal data. However, let's take a look at the other AI features if they describe it here, because those AI features may ingest personal data. And at that point, not only does the customer have data protection obligations, but also Alteryx as a supplier has data protection obligations because they're receiving it. And when we look at personal data, we're looking at something called a processing activity. A processing activity is any operation or set of operations on personal data. Anytime you touch personal data, if you've ever reviewed any of my TikTok videos, you've processed my information because you saw my name, you saw my company name, and I told you guys who I was. So that's considered a processing activity under the data protection law. That comes with responsibility, whether it's from the customer side or it's from the supplier side, and it has to be accounted for and documented in line with transparency obligations that the data protection laws outline for businesses. So let's take a look at some more of the AI features. Use of the customer content. Alteryx will not use customer content, including any personal data, to train its LLMs used or developed by Alteryx, or fine-tune the LLM used or developed by Alteryx. This is really valuable. I would say take a look at the other AI terms of service that I've reviewed, because this provision is so important. Let's talk about it from the supplier side. The supplier here is telling you that they're not going to use any personal data in association with your use of the AI features to train their LLMs, which is really valuable. You need to look at this from a risk perspective, and then your obligations in the geographies where you are anticipating using this product and service to decide if that is acceptable for you from a risk perspective. Every day, businesses are looking at things from a risk perspective. There is the privacy law. This is what you must do. Sometimes businesses choose to take on additional risk, and that should be documented in a memorandum saying we are willing to accept the risk. When we look at risk, we're looking at accepting the risk, rejecting the risk, transferring some of the risk to a third party by way of insurance, and then also mitigating the risk too. The different actions you can do related to risk. The manner in which you use personal data also comes with its own inherent risk. Let's say, for instance, you're planning to expand into the United States. You currently operate almost exclusively in, let's just say, Brazil. You don't know really what your obligations are state by state, but your rollout period in the United States for your product is 2 weeks. Now, at this point, you have a choice to make. One, you obtain a privacy lawyer that can assist you in making sure that you're compliant in the United States within that 2-week period, or you choose to accept the risk associated with the potential of offering your product and service in the United States, not being able to fulfill your data subject access requests, and then having a regulator issue a fine on you. Now, those are not the only associated risk. It's just an example, okay? The reason I bring this up is because a lot of these AI terms that we're going to continue looking at in 2026 talk a lot about using customer information to train their LLMs. Now, you as a business need to decide if that is acceptable based on the privacy program you have outlined. There's documentation you have internally about how personal data can be used. Is it acceptable for your suppliers to use your personal data to train their LLM? If it is not, then that is something that you are going to document during your due diligence process as part of your privacy program. You always should be doing due diligence to see whether the vendor's privacy program aligns with your own privacy program. You cannot just sign up any other vendor, which is why you need to be able to read these terms of service, because we've already seen in a number of these sentences that even though this is an AI term of service, we've seen privacy implications, and we've also seen it here. And we're only 4 paragraphs in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this review. If you have comments, leave a comment below, and I will see you in another review.